Jacob Scipio, and I'm playing Tyler. It's about a couple that get on the road and dive headfirst into van life. But unfortunately, their vehicle is marked by a demon known as the passenger. And he stops at nothing until they're dead. So it sucks to be them. I love the fact that we're shooting all on location here in Washington State. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece of land, beautiful corner of the earth. And the script, it is begging to be shot on location out here. And the fact that we can just traverse through all these different environments was really something that I was looking forward to doing. Just the scope of the film was something that I was excited about doing. Lou's a fantastic dance partner on this film. It's a true joy when you get to work with another actor who you also get along with, outside from when the cameras are rolling. So yeah, she's been fantastic. Tyler is he's such an excitable, fun-loving guy that, you know, those people that are just they have such a joy for life that then has an effect on everyone else around them. And he's convinced that this is gonna be a fantastic life. They're gonna be on the road, get married, have a bunch of kids, and just have nothing but the wind in their hair and the sun on their backs. It doesn't work out quite that way for them. She's yearning for some stability in her life. I don't think she ever had that growing up. So when Tyler convinces her basically to go on the road and try out this van life thing, I think it's a testament to her love to him, because it's maybe not necessarily something that she would think of doing, but I think Tyler's he's like a Labrador puppy. He's just so excited and he sweeps people up in his enjoyment. Passenger, I mean, he's kind of like this demon in the shell of a man. He looks like an old preacher, but in fact he's evil incarnate. Very ancient, demonic spirit that haunts the highways. I've been trying to not look at the passenger, who's played by Joseph Lopez, who's fantastic in this role. His physicality is very scary, and whenever I see him on set and he's in full makeup and costume, I kind of like don't really want to. I find myself avoiding him because he's so terrifying. Andre's great, man. He's got a very distinct visual style. I can't wait to see how he's collecting all of this footage which we've put together out here, and get into that editing booth and really show the alchemy of filmmaking. He's a very calm, collected dude, and it's a good environment to be in when you're performing. Being around all the real-life, genuine van lifers. They're just such hardy folk and incredibly willing to tell you about their vans and their story. They're basically just really cool hippies out there on the road, living the dream. It's a true sense of what it means, I feel, to be like free in America, you know, out there without any sort of authority figure looming over you. I mean, it's a beautiful way to live, and these guys, they're incredible. The scope and the scale of this movie is just begging to be watched on the big screen. I mean, in there, in a darkened room, sitting with a bunch of strangers, screaming and crying and laughing also a little bit. It's the perfect environment to watch this movie in the cinema. What makes a good horror movie is like the subconscious mind, you know? It's sometimes what you don't see. The scariest thing is sometimes the images that you conjure in your own head. So, yeah, I think this is going to play on a lot of people's sensitivities and fears in a good way. This movie is like a haunted house on wheels.
My name is Llobell, and I play Maddie. This movie is about a couple who decides to leave their lives and live on the road in a van, and they get marked by a demon and chased, and they have to fight to survive. When we first meet Maddie, she is packing up her life in Brooklyn, New York, packing up her memories, her belongings, and kind of reminiscing on that, which is really, it's a great way to start the film because it kind of shows a little touch on like how they were living before, and you kind of dive straight into van life, which is really great. It's so easy with Jacob. He's like, I trust him so much. We've not known each other long, and he's like become one of my closest friends, and it's really, really wonderful to work with him. He's so talented, and doing the building of the characters and the building of that relationship was really easy with him because we got along instantly, and that was really wonderful. Joseph is amazing, and he's so talented and so committed. He'll be like, between takes, kind of like whisper at me and be like, Maddie, I'm coming for you. And I'm like, I can't. It's too much. And it's really like, and I know it's his place of like getting there, but it's actually really creepy, and he does a very good job being the scary guy in this movie. A lot of my screams are genuine. When he pops up, it's eerie, it's scary. There's a mystery behind him. You don't know whether he's real or not, and he has this ability of like shifting your reality as well as murdering you. But yeah, he's eerie. You don't know where he's come from. He's kind of someone from like, is he a real person? Is he like just ethereal being that is in a body? You don't know where. Yeah, so it's like, I don't know. You don't know much about him, and I think that makes it scarier. Working with Melissa's great. She's very supportive. She's brilliant at what she does, and has this kind of like grace and presence. It's always really exciting, and I always feel really lucky working with seasoned actors because you learn a lot, and when you can kind of feel comfortable and feel like you're on par with them, it makes me feel anyway like I'm doing what I love and I'm where I'm supposed to be. It is incredible how many different kinds of terrains there are out here. It's beautiful, like the mountains, the desert, like all the little towns we've kind of been to. Seattle itself was also like an amazing thing to be able to visit and be there. I feel really lucky. We've spoken about this quite a bit with the crew. It's kind of special to be on location for pretty much the entirety of this movie. You don't get that often. And creatively, like being in the situation that the characters are in, like we're kind of on the road too. And we're kind of living what they're living in parallel. And that's makes it easier to kind of draw from that too, because you want to draw from your reality as well. So yeah, it's been an experience, and I've loved every minute of it. It's like a small space. You don't have, it's like your safe space is not very big, and it's not that safe. I mean, anyone you're out there on the road, like you're parking in parking lots and, sleeping in parking lots or like campsites, and you're meeting new people all the time. You just never know who you're going to come across. You never know what you're going to find. And I think that in itself is scary.
Melissa Leo. And I am playing Diane in Passenger. Something stuck out to me because I think that I was being asked to play something along the lines of a guardian angel. And I didn't really realize that that was a role I was looking for. But when I read Diane, I realized that was a role that I was looking for. I am delighted to have come and joined André Øvredal doing this movie. I always get something from the women I play. And that's why I want to play more women of light instead of women of dark. Because you are influenced in certain ways. I come to the set and I put on my costume, and I hopefully have learned my words and go and work with this wonderful company making this film and try to listen to what André tells me and asks of me, and it's been interesting. To come here and just be and see these parts of Washington State that I've never seen before. I've worked in Washington a couple of times, sort of closer to town, is extraordinary. It is breathtaking around here, really, truly. And André makes some beautiful frames, and I'm sure is using the both austere and marvelous environment that we're in. I know what Diane knows about Maddie. And Diane doesn't quite understand why, but she is drawn to Maddie. She senses that Maddie might have a touch of extra light in her. And I don't know if that's so, but that's how Diane sees her. It's how Diane encounters the protagonists that makes me see behind the lines this sense that she's this guardian angel. Not to give too much away, but these young people are in a little bit of trouble. And Diane knows that. And a little later on in the film, they come to seek Diane, and against her better judgment, Diane decides she'll help the kids. Diane is living not from things she learned from books or from any other source. Diane is living a life she has learned by experience. I think actually you have to be not scared to work in a horror film. You know, when you have a adversary on screen and you really love the person you're acting opposite, you get along really well, it can make an adversarial scene so much stronger because it's safer. I think it'd be a great date night movie. I think that a thriller is good fodder for that sort of thing. Who doesn't want to squeal and sit closer to the person next to them?
Hi, I'm André Øvredal, and I am the director of the movie Passenger. The producers sent me the script, and I read it, and I immediately fell in love with it. I fell in love with the characters, the story of the couple that is going in different directions in life and trying to figure out how they can live in this van together. I also loved this idea of this urban myth, this highway myth that can, in a way, affect anybody who's driving around on American highways, and how it infiltrates their lives and how it becomes the obstacle, in a way, a symbol for their relationship and the obstacles they have in their relationship. And I really enjoyed just the idea of being on the road. I've always been dreaming about driving around on American highways myself, and I enjoyed the opportunity to actually do that on film. I think that the horror genre is a director's medium more than any other genre. I think it's where everything is relying on the cinematic language. Everything is relying on being able to put to create tension and dread and horror with the camera, with the sound, with all the basic core raw elements of cinema. And therefore, I think it's such a wonderful place to be able to play around as a director. It feeds into every part of what I love about filmmaking. I have the greatest admiration for the producers on this movie. I've known them, I've known about them for many years, so I'm a huge fan of their work and the way they think as horror filmmakers. Passenger is about a young couple who, from New York, from Brooklyn, who decides to move out of their apartment and into a van and live the free van lifestyle. And a few weeks into their van life adventure, they witness a horrific accident that leaves the driver dead. Soon they're being pursued by the passenger, a demonic stalker who's impossible to outrun and follows them wherever they go. Working with Lou was a real pleasure. She is an amazing professional. She comes on set, knows everything about the character, knows her lines, has opinions on the psychology of the scenes and the psychology of the character at any given time. She brings gravitas, she brings seriousness to the performance. She brings a warmth to a character that can also at times be cold. And I think that she has the ability to balance a lot of these in the way she does, in the way she performs on screen. To work with Jacob is such a fun experience because he is constantly coming up with stuff. every scene, he would come up with some new detail or some event, something for the character to do that was not scripted. And I love that. I love that an actor brings that. He would always improvise within the parameters of the scene. He would always, for every take, he would come with something new, something fresh. It gives me a lot of opportunities in editing to tweak the performance. But it also is exciting to see how different aspects of the character could come out through these different details. And he came up with so many funny things. There are so many things that aren't in the movie even, but every time his character does something fun, it's something he came up with on the day, on set, sometimes in the middle of the take. Making a horror movie around van life and around the roads and around being out in nature and be alone in many ways is definitely leans directly into the fear of the unseen, of the unknown, of the horrors of being in darkness, like we are a lot in this movie. And I think there is some kind of an integral fear of empty roads or of just desolate areas that I think this movie leans into. Working with David Barrett and Logan Holiday was a lot of fun. I mean, these are absolute professionals. They take safety, they're excited about what they do, they take safety so seriously, but they also want to challenge what we can do visually. They would help come up with camera angles and where to shoot it from and how to maximize every stunt. And it was exciting for me to be part of that, to be able to sit in the cars with them and figure out how to do things. We worked, of course, extensively with developing this character. We worked for a year developing the character of Passenger because we knew that the movie is going to be made on the villain character, and that is also the titular character. I think in the beginning, in the screenplay, when I received it, it was more of a demonic force, more like an entity that wasn't an actor. We were talking about doing it as a CG element, of course, as a actor in just the dark costumes and various solutions. Eventually, we started leaning towards making it more of a tangible character, more tangible actor-based demon. And we started looking at famous actors, we started looking at interesting faces, body performers, everywhere. And then we started auditioning. And actually during the very first set of auditions, Joseph Lopez just showed up, and he was just amazing. He just blew me away and blew everyone away. We were just like, as soon as he walked out of the audition room, we were just like, oh, that's the guy. St. Christopher is, of course, the patron saint of travelers. So he's the traveler's protector in a way. And he is, so therefore you can buy medallions or other things too, but medallions that you can hang in your car or you can hang on you that is supposed to protect you from bad things happening as you're traveling. We also discovered in the research of St. Christopher that he had a moment when he was traveling along with some character that turned out to be the devil. And we kind of brought that together as the passenger being symbolically the devil in our story. It was an honor and an absolute pleasure to work with Melissa Leo. She has done so many amazing characters. She's an Academy Award winner. She brought a gravitas to her character that was just astounding to watch. I mean, she was a pleasure on set. She would just be hanging around with the crew and sit with us all day on set and watch us work and watch us prep and be ready to go on immediately. To me, it was a masterclass in how a true, genuine, top-notch actor works. Washington has such a wide variety of environments. We have the forests, we have the mountains, we have the desert. They had small towns, cities, We could shoot Brooklyn in Seattle. We could shoot deserts, and we could shoot. And there are so many different visual cues to find. So Washington was a gift to this movie because we were really able to portray all of America within a small area. The hobo code itself is some kind of a code that was used by travelers like 100 years ago, like long time ago. And they developed this sign language, these signs they would post for each other to inform each other about where to go, what to do, what not to do, who is there, and it's kind of an amazing little, it's like 30-ish drawings that mean something to this group of people. I think the audience will love the characters. I think they will love the villain. I think they will love Passenger. I think he's a unique, iconic, new villain character in the horror pantheon of great villains. I think they will love the suspense and feeling the dread and being part of the journey and being part of getting to know how a van life horror movie even works. It's a very unique horror movie. And I think that's what also made me fall in love with this movie, is that it's such a unique setting for a horror movie. You haven't seen it before. And I think that's something that the audience craves now, to see something original, see something that moves the needle of what they can expect. There are a lot of unexpected events in this movie, a lot of unexpected scares, a lot of unexpected scenes, and I'm very proud of the way we were able to make everything feel real and feel tense.
I'm Walter Hamada, and one of the producers on the movie. I believe the scariest movies are the ones that are the most relatable. It's, regular people in regular situations, and then something scary gets thrown on top of it. Those are my favorite movies. That's why I love haunted house movies. But there have been so many haunted house movies that when this idea came along to basically do a haunted house movie on wheels, I was like, oh, that's a fresh spin on it. And it is sort of taking the things that you take for granted, putting on a seatbelt, rear view cameras, pulling over, fixing a tire, and figuring out how to make that as scary as possible, how to subvert it, how to ruin basically a road trip for people everywhere, is kind of what we strove for. Like, how do we make people think twice if they're going to go on a road trip this summer? There's a lot of lonely, dark stretches of road, and who knows what's out there. Maddie and Tyler, the characters, they were this relatable couple that you rooted for, and I think in a scary movie, you need characters that you root for. You don't want characters that you hope will die, and there's a real heart to them and their journey. It's a road trip movie, and we thought, well, there's no one state that's going to have it all, and Washington had it, and we were able to basically use the entire state, but that also meant that we were on the road for the entire shoot. Moving from location to location. Jacob was the first person we cast. I had done a movie with Jacob in the past, and he's a great actor. The character needed to be, you wanted a guy's guy, an adventurer, and I knew that Jacob had that. But the challenge in a scary movie, your audience is only as scared as the characters on the screen. Jacob has this vulnerability and that willingness to kind of go to that place where he still has that underlying strength in him, but you could see fear in his eyes, and you can see that. And so he was the perfect guy. We ended up narrowing sort of the female lead of Maddie down to a few actresses, and we did chemistry reads, and Lou and Jacob just popped off the screen, like right out of the gate. Like there was just chemistry between the two of them. And she was incredible, and she was exactly what we wanted. In the same way as Jacob, there's that vulnerability, but there's also a toughness to her, because you certainly don't want the damsel in distress, and Llobell is certainly not that. Melissa, we just took a shot. We thought, there's no way Melissa's going to do our little movie. We sent her the script, and she loved it, and she came back to us and said, I love the character, but this is what I want to do with it. And she had very specific thoughts on who her character would be, what she would wear, how she would behave, dialogue, specific lines, and so we rewrote the script for her, and it's incredible. And she's only on screen in a few key moments, but she's so integral to the storytelling. again, we were fortunate to have her. Van life it's aspirational. I mean, if you go on TikTok or Instagram, like there are all these people who are out there showing like this life of adventure and leisure, and the fact that you can pick up and wake up in one national park and the next day be in another, and it feels like, yeah, who wouldn't want to do that and leave all the grind of the work place behind. And that's very much Tyler and Maddie at the beginning of this movie. But there's got to be a dark side to that. There's got to be the downside to that. And I think this actually explores it and takes it to the nth degree. But it definitely is I think as with any story where you're dealing with a young couple trying to figure out what their future is going to be, I think you put two people in a tiny van and put them on the road, and it heightens everything. And then you throw in a demonic entity, and suddenly you've got yourself a great scary movie. For me, what makes characters, sort of the iconic villains, is that there's a very human quality to them. At their core, there's something human to them, and then there's something that's just unnatural. And so when we first were conceiving the idea of The Passenger, we'd considered big prosthetics, like what can we do to make this demonic, does he have horns and all this stuff? And at the end of the day, André was very smartly said, let's just find somebody with a really interesting face. And so a lot of that is just Joseph with, makeup to enhance, the creases and, and just enhance certain elements of his features. But it's really, a lot of it is just Joseph. And then we put him in sort of this like Depression era priest kind of outfit, sort of a, very demonic approach to a godly character. And I think all those little pieces just made you go, wait, this guy is not a man of God. He looks human, but there's something off about him. And it's just that sort of uncanny valley kind of quality that I think makes him unsettling. And Joseph just nailed it. I think what makes The Passenger really scary is this element of trickery. He's demonic, so he could just kill them. But he doesn't want to. He likes to play with his food. He likes to torment them. He likes to drive a wedge between people. I think he feeds off of that fear and that anxiety, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. And I think that element of The Passenger, I think, makes him really horrifying. This idea that this entity will play with you, and that you may not even know that you've been marked, and you may not know that the first few things that happened are elements of you being marked, but eventually it'll catch up to you. Every good movie needs great characters, great stories, great performances, but what makes a great horror movie for me is that it's scary. It's like what makes a good comedy, that you laugh. To me, a good horror movie is that, like, I sort of say I know when it works because I'll sit in that theater with an audience and watch them, and if they're grabbing the person next to them, if they're leaning forward, if they're rocking back in their seat, if they're jumping out of their seat, if they're screaming, if they start talking to the screen, like, you've made a good scary movie. And that's sort of what I aspire to. And that's what Passenger delivers in spades. It's incredible. I think it's a great date night film because at its core, it's a story of this young couple trying to figure out what their next steps in life are going to be. And part of that journey is getting through this ordeal. And so there's real heart and emotion to the story. But then you couple that with the fact that it also is a really scary movie, and it's going to make you want to grab the person that you're with and hold on tight. And there's nothing better on a date night than having an experience that draws you together. And it's just fun. It's just a fun, good, scary night at the movies. What The Passenger captures is this idea that you can take something as fun and innocent as a road trip and realize that very quickly you take the wrong turn, you make the wrong stop, and suddenly it all goes bad, very bad.